Right, Stephen, what's your TK number?
1902.
So you're a 4 TK number.
I am 4 digits. Yes, I joined the forums in January 2005, cleared my costume in March, and did my first 2 troops back to back on the 1st of April 2005.
1st of April. April
Yes.
Fool's Day.
It was indeed, yes. It was a Toys R Us midnight opening. They were launching some new toys, so the store people were queuing up to get into the stores at midnight. Did the troop for a few hours, had a few hours kip. Then we were off down the Old King's Road to do a promotion with Orange telephones, because again they had a tie-in with the episode 3 movie that was coming out. So yeah, 2 troops back to back and very, very little sleep.
So 20 years ago this year.
Yeah, just over. Yeah, 20. Yeah.
So that was your first troop then, was around about the episode 3 coming out.
It was, yes. I mean, that was part of the reason why I sort of got into the Garrison. I mean, historically, I've always been a Star Wars collector. I've got a full-size Darth Vader that I got from 20th Century Fox that they used for the special edition promotion back in '97. And I thought, oh, it'd be really cool to have a Stormtrooper to go with it. So I was looking at getting a mannequin and getting the parts to put on the mannequin. And through the research, I stumbled across the UK Garrison and thought, oh, wow, people actually go out and wear the costumes. I'll have some of that, please. So that's why I joined. And again, it was in the lead up. Episode 3 was a few months away, and I thought, oh, there's a good chance. If we wore the costume, just rock up to Leicester Square, we might get in to see the movie. Not realizing that at the time Lucasfilm was already in talks with the Garrison to have us there in a official capacity. So yeah, it turned out better than I could have hoped.
And talking about being there at the premiere for episode 3, Stephen, that was obviously a big event for the Garrison.
It was, yes. May 16th, we pretty much took over Leicester Square for the whole day. It was a very long day. We had to be there about 5 a.m. for a 6 a.m. photo call with the media. And again, they just wanted lots of shots on Leicester Square before Joe Public all rocked up and they put out the red carpet and the barriers. So that's why we did such an early start. And then we were split into 4 squads. And we basically roved around the area, entertaining, taking photo opportunities. You had the London Symphony Orchestra. We're on a stage in the middle of Leicester Square, performing all the music throughout the day. And we would sometimes go and stand in front of the stage and then go off and do other sort of marching around just to, create a bit of a buzz, an atmosphere. And then we all disappeared, obviously, when it came to showtime. And obviously the crowds were getting really, sort of 6-7 deep behind the barriers. The red carpet was out. Guests were beginning to arrive. So we were all corralled, I suppose, into the stage area, which was in the middle of Leicester Square, ready to wait to do our grand sort of red carpet performance.
We've got a great picture of that here, Stephen, of looks to about 20 stormtroopers all in a row standing outside.
Yes, yeah, we were all standing outside. I think what was then the Equinox nightclub casino. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that was basically, that was our base of operations. That was our changing room for the day.
Well, there's also a couple of great photos here of the changing rooms with what looks like Red Bull and TK helmets scattered all over the place.
Pretty much, the Red Bull fueled us that day, pretty much, and adrenaline. I mean, yeah, it was such a buzz.
There's someone holding up what looks like a plan of the day.
Yes, we had a whiteboard that we the CEO and his team brought in on the day, John Harris, and basically it was a map of Leicester Square and all the locations where we were going to be patrolling, and we just used it to work out the logistics of getting from A to B. Because of course, when the square is empty, it's easy. When there's several thousand people there, press, security, barriers, we had to make sure that where we were going wasn't restricted, so we hit our queue on time.
And it all went well?
Yes. Other than the weather, just as we were about to go at the red carpet, the heavens opened. Okay, absolutely bucketed down. That you can't necessarily make it out from some of the photos.
So there's an excellent photo. It looks like it was taken yesterday rather than 20 years ago of the Vader leading the parade down the red carpet.
Yes, you see, as we were walking up there, the carpet was squelching. It was frothing up because of the amount of rain that we had on there. And yeah, that was a phenomenal experience. Going up there, all in unison. You had George Lucas and the rest of the cast and crew up on the balcony of the cinema, looking down at us.
Dry. dry.
In the dry, yes. And then we were all shepherded into the foyer and then out a side door and then into a back alley round the backside of the cinema, back in through another stage door. And basically they lined us all up on stage behind a curtain. So all the audience is in there waiting to see the screening. And then obviously the curtains open up and then you've got 40 stormtroopers all up on stage. So that's a nice sort of photo op for people. And then George, I think Rick McCallum, the producer, came up on stage to do a bit of an introduction and a talk. And then that was our cue. The curtains close. We get off stage and then we basically run as best you can into TK, back out round the foyer, back out into the square, and we bomb it all the way across to the Empire Cinema, which was next to our changing place, because all day they've been showing all the movies back to back. Also, and they were going to finish with episode 3 starting about half an hour or so after the premiere started. And I know we've got a few people who were in that audience who have since joined the Garrison because of what they saw on that day. But we basically did the same again. We all had to sort of rush into there to get up on stage. And then George and Rick came along and met the fans and did a brief talk in there as well. And the place just erupted. People waving lightsabers everywhere and people cheering, and it was just an electric atmosphere.
So that was 5 years after the Garrison was formed.
Yes.
Would you think that was a big moment for the Get Back Garrison, a big turning point?
Huge, massive turning point. So up until that point, we'd done a few events. People knew who we were. We'd started going to conventions, I'm told, but we didn't necessarily have much clout, I suppose. People were kind of like still a bit wary. Who are you? What do you bring to the table? And I think after the coverage that we got on May 16th, all of that changed overnight. We had people queuing up to say, "Oh, can you come to the opening of this, or you come to the opening of that?" Or we got a charity that would love to use you guys. We're doing charity screenings of episode 3 were happening for people like Medi Cinema and SPCC. So we came along to some of their events, fundraising events. We started doing hospital visits. Some commercial events as well. Obviously, Lucasfilm were using us for a few promotions. We ended up doing an advert for Woolworths, if you remember that back in the day. Yeah, and I think the R2 builders, they were used for a Curry's advert. That's for our international fans. That's Curry's. They're an electrical store, not the food curry. They had R2 and 3PO used for an advert there. And it snowballed from there because you'd go then to places like Memorabilia, our big sort of national conventions, and you didn't have to sort of bow and scrape and beg to get a changing room. They were more open to, we see what you guys bring. We got more involved with the organisers, and they gave us decent sized changing rooms so that rather than have say 10, 15 people, we can have maybe 50 people in costume attend the event and parade around the place and just add a bit of pizzazz, I guess, to the show, some interaction, because as you know, we're not just people in costume, we are the characters. Things really changed around then, and we also found people were willing to make donations, charitable donations for our appearances. I think that was the big kicker for us, whereas before people kind of like, who are you, why are you coming here, sort of thing. It was like, oh, you do this and you do it for charity, great, we'll make a donation, can you come along to our event? And then that's where things really sort of kick-started the charity fundraising side of things for us.
Right, so it shows the power of one big event as a non-charity event actually showed how much it helped the charity side as well.
Absolutely, and hats off to Lucasfilm, obviously to Albin Johnson, the founder of the 501st, because obviously him and his team over the previous probably 8 years, I think, when they started, have been trying to showcase what the Legion can do for the brand, and obviously, they've listened to him. They've come and seen what the Legion can do worldwide, and obviously they got in touch with the UK guys when the UK premiere was coming out to say, "Are you up for this?" And we said absolutely, and we showed them what we could do.
So at that point, John Harris was the CEO of the Garrison.
That's correct. Yep.
Am I right in saying he was the third CEO at that point?
At that point, yes.
With Graham obviously being first, John May the second.
John May second, yes.
And then John Harris. Could you just give us a brief timeline of the Garrison CEOs up to now?
Up to now, yeah.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, John Harris, he was CO for about 3 years. Then we had our Garrison webmaster, Adrian Basley, stepped up and became CO in 2008, I think it was. After him, it was Terry Aldersley for a year. Our first female CO. I don't know if she was the first female CO in Legion-wide, but certainly in the UK Garrison.
Oh, something good to find out if she was. We'll see if we can get that information.
Yeah. No, I'm still in touch with Terry. We actually caught up earlier this year in London in the first time in many, many years. Due to COVID getting in the way. So yeah, we finally managed to catch up yesterday. She and her husband live up north, up in Yorkshire.
Oh, near me then, are they somewhere?
Yes, yeah, it used to be Pocklington, but it's somewhere in that area. Then after her, it was Scott Steele in 2010. Then he stood down partway through the year, and our GML Alex Howard then stepped in for the interim, just to see us through to the next elections in 2011, and that's when Gary Hales became CO. And again, it may or may not be a Legion record, but he was CO up until 2024, so 13 years as CO. And then for the past 2 years, it's been Michael Cullen.
Yep. So nine COs in total, which over 25 years.
Yeah,
isn't too bad at all, really.
It's too bad. No, yes, yeah, very, very, very stable.
Good. Right, Steve. I just want to ask you about, and I'm sure everyone else is looking at it. The patches are behind you and the leaflets.
All the stuff on there, yes.
Yes. Do you think you could just give us a quick talk about them, how they relate to the Garrison history? Because it looked like there's some very old ones on there.
There are, yes. Basically, I did this for Celebration Europe 2 over in Essen in Germany. And it's basically...
When was that?
July 2013.
Right.
So this was a sort of a small history of my time in the club up until that point. And we've got various patches. So obviously, we've got some trading cards up the top. We've got our founder, Albin Johnson, the UK Garrison founder, Graham Campbell, the unofficial UK Garrison mascot, Darth Teddy, just as the Emperor, who I had to swear allegiance to during my induction.
So what happened to Darth Teddy?
Darth Teddy, he's still around. He goes on tour with us. I think Ginny might actually have him at the moment. She's the custodian of our Emperor. Basically, yeah, if anyone goes overseas or troops overseas, they can put in a request to take him, and then we take him on holiday and take photographs with him.
This is new information to me.
So yeah, he came with us to the Rose Parade and Celebration. He's been to, I think, to Dragon Con. Yeah, no, he likes to hit the bars pretty hard, does Teddy.
So he's a normal UKG member then?
Pretty much, yeah, a bit of a party animal, yes.
So you're telling me the next time I drive an hour north to Scotland, I can take Darth Teddy?
Could put in a request here. If he's available, Darth Teddy will join you on a road trip, yes. He likes to see the world.
He has a busy life, though, by the sound of it.
He does, yes. Yeah. So we've not seen him for a while, but we need to get him out again.
So you spoke about Albin and Graham. So obviously, they knew each other. Do you know much about the history?
They never actually spoke directly. I know they'd corresponded when Graham was looking at bringing what was the foundling Garrison into the 501st fold. I know they had a few sort of points of difference on how things would work. And I know Albin mentioned this in one of his blogs, that he came home one day just as Graham was leaving a voicemail on his answer machine. And he felt at the time, okay, it seems very positive what Graham was saying about how the two clubs could sort of gel and work together. He said, I won't bring it back straight away. I'll just let it settle for a bit because it seems like an olive branch. I'll let it stew, and then I'll get in touch with him. And then sadly, I think it's maybe only been a couple of weeks later, he got the news that Graham had passed. So yeah, very, very, very sad. But and then obviously, yeah, John May stepped up and took over things. But yeah, the club had at that point been accepted, I think, into the 501st. They were just trying to iron out some of the rules and regulations around it. But yeah, no, and Albin says, he was very, very sad that he never actually got to speak to Graham, because he said, obviously, we're two peas in a pod. We both love Star Wars. We're both passionate about costuming and about what we want to do. I think we're two sides of the same coin. We're both here ultimately for the same goal. We may just have slightly different approaches to things. And I think you still find that today across the world. You're going to have cultural differences in how you want to approach certain things, but we all push for the same end result. Really, we are all bad guys doing good.
Yeah, that's something quite important to remember sometimes as well, isn't it? We are all here for better reasons. So
Absolutely.
So, do you know at that time how many garrisons there were in the world?
At the time, when UKG formed, I think there were maybe, I could be wrong. I think there was, you can probably find out on the leading history, but I think there's maybe 10, 15, certainly 10, 15 countries. I mean, within the States, there were probably multiple garrisons, across the whole United States. But I think at the time, France, Germany, Japan, and the UK, possibly the Nordic region as well, were the more prominent garrisons at that time, as well as, like, say, all the guys across America. So it was still very, very small. I mean, when I joined, the UK garrison, I think maybe had 100, 120 members, if that. Because again, there's a patch there's one just there over my right shoulder. You probably can't see it very well, and that was
the slide one. Yeah,
it was celebrating our 300th member. I can't quite remember what year that was. I think it might have been around, I want to say 2009, 2010, possibly. I could be wrong, but and obviously the garrison now, I have to think how many people have been through the club, but in terms of active members, I'm not quite sure where we are now. Probably close to 400, 500. I think I need to check the most recent census. But yeah, so yeah, we obviously, and we got lots of other patches and trading cards that we bring out for various events. There's one also down there for Celebration Europe with my alter ego, Bisco Steve, Captain Chaos, who was also a Garrison member's alter ego, and a fantastic C3PO, a lady in C3PO, Fiver First. I want to say it was Anne Newman, who is now the chairman of Rancho Obi-Wan. I could be wrong, but I think it was Anne, but hopefully somebody out there can correct me. So yeah, we like to have those are our off-duty costumes.
So Graham and John started, they needed 10 troopers, is that correct at the time?
Troopers to be able to, form a garrison initially, yes, and then grow from there. So yeah, he managed to do that.
So from the year 2000 to 9-10 years later, we got to 300 members.
Yeah, and it was because of events like the episode 3 premiere. Then when Celebration Europe London, the first one, July 2007, came aboard, we suddenly saw another massive influx of members. Because again, it's just getting the word out there that internet was still a fledgling thing back then, and forums and message boards were still relatively new. Yeah, social media wasn't really much of a thing back then. So trying to get the word out that we're here, we exist. You can make your own costumes and wear them and go out and do stuff for charity. It was events like this that really made people go, oh, I didn't know this existed. And then, we saw lots of peaks from some of our peak events of new members joining.
Celebration 2007.
Yeah.
That was the first celebration in London?
Yes, that was the first one. Yeah, it followed. It was only 3 months after Celebration 4 in Los Angeles, which I was lucky enough I attended that. And Celebration 3 in Indianapolis in 2005, my first introduction to the wider 501st. And again, magical. Again, it's getting to meet members from all over the world, seeing how people do things differently. Yeah, absolutely awesome. And we were grateful that we had Albin and his wife Kathy and loads of international members come to Celebration London as well. We had a huge contingent from the German garrison, Dutch, the Nordic garrison, all came over, and it's just wonderful getting out there and trooping with other people that relative strangers, but you have that instant connection. We're all Star Wars geeks. We're dressing up in white plastic. You made instant friends. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And how much involvement did the UK garrison have with that celebration?
A lot. We also had a very little short notice to actually get our booth set up. Our Death Star wall, we had to have that constructed. So we had a member, Steve Chafe, who came up with all the designs, provided all the materials, and basically built the wall. We then took the wall up to the National Space Centre, where we've been trooping for a few years, because they had the space and the storage space, and a load of members came along and they did a massive session of painting it, putting all the lighting sections into it and basically getting it ready to be shipped back down to London in time for celebration. People making costumes. The Force Unleashed was also, the game was coming out, and I believe Lucasfilm asked a couple of our members, and they got help making costumes of the characters from the game to showcase at the movie. At the convention. Republic Commando was another game, and for the first time, we had 4 of our guys come out in the Republic Commando costumes. So you've got, was it Boss, Scorch, Fixer, and Sev? And again, I think that might have been a first for the Legion, having those costumes at a convention. So yeah, we worked closely. Yeah, John Harris, Adrian Basley, and his command team worked closely with Lucasfilm. Head of fan relations, obviously Steve Samsweet, the brilliant Mary Franklin, and basically they brought all of that together to have us there. I mean, most of our time was spent, because they weren't. It's not like it is now. It was probably made in 2 halls at London Excel. It wasn't as big. They had lots of talks, lots of guests there and signings, but in terms of props and shops and things to do, it wasn't as big, obviously, as the ones are in the States. Just, I guess, you don't have the licensees over here to bring all of their props up and everything. But the one fantastic thing that we did have was the Tantive 4 set. There was a company there. They built the set. So it's basically what we were doing. You were getting members of the public could go and basically dress into Rebel Fleet Trooper costumes, stand in the corridor, and then at the end they'd open up the door. Us as stormtroopers would come in, blast them, shoot them, and chase them down corridors, and they'd film it all, press it onto a DVD, and give it to them as a memento of the day. So this
Make this out now. That sounds better. This,
I mean, you do still have some of the set. The Rebel Legion now owns part of that set. Yes, it's a shame. I mean, obviously, logistically, it's a lot of work trying to film it, record it, burn it onto a DVD, and do everything all in one go. But obviously, this company was a professional company that did it. And yeah, it was great fun. I spent most of the convention, most of the weekend on that set, waiting to hear somebody shout "action," hear the door slide open, and then you run in and start blasting away and sort of reenacting the opening scene of Star Wars. So yeah, it was good fun. We got to arrest Simon Pegg on the set as well. He came along and got joined in with there, so that was good fun.
Did anyone hit their head on the door?
No, we tripped a lot because there was about a foot high lip just for the way this is built. So, and you know what stormtroopers are like with steps. So we were not very graceful coming through the doorway. You had to remember there was a bit of a step there, so you kind of stumbled into the corridor before you could start blasting people.
And would you say that was another turning moment for the Garrison? Big moment, or were we more established by then?
We were certainly more established in terms of internal events we were doing, like charity events, hospitals. A lot of the charities that we were involved with were growing. But in terms of membership, it had been quite a steady flow up to that point. But yeah, after the first celebration, then there's a massive influx. I think that definitely pushed us, way up to our, getting close to our 300 member mark.